Wanda's eyes brimmed with tears, and she opened her arms, inviting him in for a hug. "It won't be the same without you. Waggy and I will miss you. Listen, when we get back to Robinson, why don't you come back to St. Louis with me?" Dan asked. Lucas shook his head. "No, I'll be going the other way." "Where will you go?" "You know better than to ask that." "And you wouldn't like to go back to St. Louis for just a little while? At least until you sort of get your bearings?" "No, I just need to go." "Don't forget me, Lucas. We've been through too much together." "Dan, you aren't just part of my memories. You're part of my very existence. I promise you, I won't forget you." The two men shook hands, holding the grip a little longer than usual. I better get going," Dan said. "I don't want to miss my train." Lucas nodded, then turned away. He riding in one direction, while Dan rode in the other. Sometime later, Lucas found himself in the village of Taos, New Mexico. He heard music and laughter spilling out from one of the buildings, and a sign out front identified it as a cantina, though there was no name for the establishment. Lucas stopped his horse in front of a watering trough. "I don't care whether it has a name or not, Charlie, as long as they serve beer." After Charlie had drunk his fill, Lucas led him over to the cantina and tied him off to the hitching rail out front. It was cooler inside due to the lack of sun and to the half-dozen evaporative coolers. As the large pots of water evaporated, the adjacent temperature was lowered by a few degrees. The bartender was a heavy-set man with a black mustache, black hair, and brown eyes. "Si, senor," he said as Lucas stepped up to the bar. "You have beer?" "Si." "Then I'll have a beer." Lucas watched as the bartender filled a mug with the golden liquid. He paid for it, took a long, satisfying drink, then turned his back to the bar to have a look around the place. The clientele of the bar was a mixture of Anglos and Hispanics, though with considerably more Anglos. There were 3 men sitting at a table just in front of Lucas, having an intense conversation. "They say the reward's worth $500 now," one of the men said.